Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Turin here with another Warhammer Total War live battlecast. In this particular game, we are going to play the Dwarfs against the Warriors of Chaos. So we're actually going to get, I feel like it'd be fun to get two groups of Ironbreakers. I feel like that's a bit of a risky investment. So let's actually just go with the Norgrimlings Ironbreakers for now. As far as our other frontline troops, we're probably just going to get two standard groups of Longbeards here, although I should probably just get the armor-piercing variants for this particular game. So we're going to get Grumbling Guard and just a regular group of Longbeards with great weapons, pretty good armor-piercing, and even against like lightly armored Marauders and things like that, they hold up relatively well. So obviously one issue that we may run into is monstrous units. And getting Manticores, not Manticores, but getting Gyrocopters is a bit of a risk because Manticores are very, very cost effective and trade very, very well with them. So we're actually going to try a cannon build. I haven't, used cannons in a long time against Warriors of Chaos. So we're going to go ahead and try it and see how it pans out. So on top of that, we are going to need a group of Slayers. These guys are literally just going to be on cannon guard duty and are going to be there the whole time. So on top of that, probably some standard Dwarf Warriors wouldn't be terrible just to kind of protect my flanks and just be essentially expendable fodder units. They're pretty well armored. They can hold up okay against Forsaken. It's they certainly hold up better than the the Great Weapon variant because they have the 40 melee defense, but still, it's a tricky situation there. So let's see. I could get a Master Engineer, which actually wouldn't be terrible. So we'll get rid of the explosive damage, get the Banner of the Lost Hold for that nice damage buff, and then I feel like we just need some more troop density here. So let's go ahead and get. We probably want a little bit more armor piercing, just in case it is the Warriors of Chaos. But although another group of Slayers does sound alluring as well. A lot of choices here, guys. It's not easy stuff. Two groups of Slayers would be fun. I feel like you can't go wrong with that. We do have the Dwarf Warriors who can protect our flanks. We have the cannons. I feel like I need more troops though, because I have a lot of vulnerable units in the back line, but hopefully it's okay. Hopefully he goes like a low density Chaos army with mostly elite troops, and we can hold up from there. So Grombrindle's pretty good here. I mean, obviously in a duelist type situation versus Kolek, he's going to get run over pretty hard. And you guys probably saw my video the other day where I used Kolek in the Shaggoth. I'm really hoping he doesn't do that. This build will have a little bit of trouble. The cannons will provide some good topical pressure, but I wish I wasn't so afraid of getting Gyrocopters. I think maybe one game I'll try like a Gyrocopter build with a ton of Rangers just supporting on the ground. And if he goes after the Rangers, the Gyrocopters can support, etc., etc. So I don't know. We'll feel it out. I figured the Pillar of Bone, this is a pretty good map for the Dwarves. It's very open field, so there's not a lot of terrain, and he's going to have to march through a lot of open space to get to me, essentially. So if I really wanted to be a troll, I could deploy up on this hill back here and just sit with my cannons, and that's so obnoxious. So I hate when people do that to me. So I mean, I understand why. It does give you a bit of a tactical advantage. I don't know, just it's like an etiquette thing, just like making these games, sometimes can already take a while with people lagging and whatnot. So when you deploy in the far corner of the map, it only makes it worse, I suppose. But let's get right down to business. I get an excuse to use Ironbreakers. So little trick, guys. So if you're deploying your formations initially, you see how I can shift the guys around here. So if you want your Ironbreaker to be in the middle, for example, you can just drag them in the middle, grab these three, deploy them like so, and you'll see it'll deploy with the Ironbreakers in the middle, which is just a useful little trick in case you guys didn't already know that, but I'm sure you did. So we're going to get those cannons. You got to make sure to get pretty good depth. So you can see I'm putting them pretty far back, because if they're too close, you're going to get obstructed, which is very, very obnoxious. So we're going to put Grombrindle there. We're going to put the Runesmith here. We're going to put the Master Engineer by his cannons, which he will be protecting. Slayers back here. And Slayers, obviously, pretty good choice. They can deal with Dragon Ogres, okay. Just one of the few answers Dwarves has to Cav and things like that, and it's not even a great answer, to be honest. So we're going to go ahead and get the Dwarf Warriors over here, these guys here, and let's actually scoot the Slayers back just a little bit. Put these guys here, and we'll put the Slayers in a free-flowing group, so essentially I can scurry them around as need be. Now, probably some high ground would be okay, but to be honest, I just want to kind of force this battle into open field, so we're just going to defensively set up right over here in this pocket. And then if he does decide to run up here, that is the one nuisance. So maybe I set up a little closer to the mountain range here, and then I can just have the Slayers kind of run up there if need be and defend. So should be okay. Just want to get right into the action anyway. So he does have a Marauder army, which is okay, because I do have the Ironbreakers and some Dwarf Warriors, which trade pretty well with those guys. He does have a Chaos Lord. It looks like he has a Hell Cannon also. So let's start by shooting at these Aspiring Champs. They're not an expensive unit, but it's much more cost effective than shooting at Chaos Marauders. So what we'll probably do is shoot that, and then as soon as the Hell Cannon gets in range, we're going to switch our DPS onto that Hell Cannon, because that thing is no fun to play against as the Dwarves, especially with this big juicy group of Ironbreakers. I'm almost tempted to just, so I'm going to get a volley or two here, then I'm immediately going to switch it onto these guys and pull my Ironbreakers back. So let's go ahead and start scurrying the Ironbreakers back, because we do not want to lose those really expensive units. They're essentially going to be the backbone of our army. So we just got our first volley off on these guys, which is good. We're going to switch our two cannons onto those. So we'll put the cannons in a separate control group. We'll put them in control group 3, and you can see he's actually chasing me there. So looks like he overshot just a little bit, which is fine. But the cannons are going to scoot up and start getting some decent exchanges there. Actually, you know what? We should probably just move up. Yeah, we want to meet his army, and if we create a little separation from the cannons, looks like he does have some knights with lances back there. So these guys, unfortunately, unlike the Dragonback Slayers, do not have that same benefit of having the charge defense. So we should probably detach a group of Dwarf Warriors, probably these ones over in the flank, put them in group 4, leave them back there. So he's taking some pot shots. Doesn't look like he's manually aiming at the moment, so that's a pretty good situation for me. And my cannons are now shooting at his Hell Cannon, because if I just let that thing shoot the entire battle, I'm definitely going to be taking some pain. So hopefully, you know, I can engage quickly, close the distance, and then, you know, won't have to worry about that particular threat. So we're going to go back here with this guy. He can help defend the cannons, and probably, yeah, these guys will trade pretty well with me, unfortunately, due to the fact that they have armor piercing and they're lightly armored themselves. So we're just going to wait till they get a little bit closer here. Just get our formation ready. We're going to use Rune of Wrath and Rune as soon as we can. You can see they're firing. Let's go ahead and use the ballistics calibration, which is excellent. So we're going to get a charge here. These satchel charges are going to be really good. I'm starting to wish I had brought the two what's it called? The freaking Ironbreakers, 2 groups, because I was originally planning on that. So we're going to get everyone engaged in the front line. We're feeling pretty good. We have these guys kind of an auxiliary here in case he tries to sneak by. We have a lot of troops in defense, so we're going to have to probably set up here and use the Slayers to absorb that particular punishment. So Master Engineer is doing pretty good, and a funny little trick actually is you can use the entrenchment on troops that are like in melee, and they'll still keep fighting, and they'll also get a pretty substantial damage debuff. Or buff, you know, resistance to damage, whatever you guys want to call it. So back here, we're doing pretty good. I do have these guys here who should intercept these guys, and that should be all she wrote for that. You can see a lot of his troops in the front line are starting to falter a little bit. I'm pretty secure. The Chaos Knights are relatively far away, and I do have the ballistics calibration here, which is really helping me dumpster that Hell Cannon, which is a great, great situation. He does have a lot of troops, though, so I have to be on top of things and, you know, constantly be keeping my head on a swivel. So my dwarf should be able to win in this particular flank, and the main battle is going pretty well. So we're going to get Grombrindle here. We're going to use a flash bomb right now. We're going to engage here, which will slow him down. We're also going to use a Rune of Wrath and Rune on these Chaos Warriors, which is good. All right, we're engaging here, and you see I'm running out of resources to defend my back line, which is a bit of an issue. So we're going to pull the Master Engineer over here and use him to like tie some of these troops up in melee. So as soon as that Hell Cannon's broken, I'm going to switch the fire onto these chariots here, which is going to be essentially the next raid boss in this particular battle. But the Chaos Lord, he got flash bombed and he wasn't able to get away, so I might actually just get a cheesy win that way. I mean, I guess I wouldn't call it cheese. You know, he brought his Chaos Lord in there. It's not like I went out of my way to cheese it. You know, again, the cannon's going down pretty hard though. It only has what is it, two infantry or 2 cannoneers left, so we're getting there. But look how well these Chaos Marauders trade with these Longbeards. It's such a bad trade for me, you know, just fiscally speaking. So we're engaging there. Everyone's doing pretty good here, so we're going to pull these guys back here. We're going to use a nice little armor buff. We got Grombrindle coming in. The Ironbreakers are just going to hold all day. Their melee defense is going to be so good here. So we're going to get these guys engaged here. And this trade, you can see it's going pretty bad, so we're just going to pull the Slayers in there. I really want to finish that Hell Cannon, because one good Hell Cannon blast can do pretty substantial damage. And I'm even pulling the Master Engineer in here, which is pretty funny. But unfortunately for me, the Scorbeast Chariot has isolated me, which is tough. That darn thing is still, is it broke? Oh, it's broken. See, that was a huge mistake. I should have looked closer. So we're going to switch onto these chariots right now, which is definitely going to be very important. You can see some of these Chaos Knights were able to sneak through, so I definitely made a bit of a mistake there. So hopefully we can get back to protect these cannons. We'll switch these cannons over here, and thankfully the Slayers are relatively close by, so they should be fine. Just going to use ballistics calibration, whatever, you know, might as well. We do have the Rune of Wrath and Rune up. We're still getting through, but my opponent has quite a bit, and you know, the attrition of those Chaos Marauders is starting to wear on me a little bit. So we're going to get these guys back here. Hopefully these guys can hold. It's definitely looking a little bit grim in that respect, but I do have a very strong infantry corps up here. I still have, you know, my Ironbreakers who are confident, and all these other kind of funny things going on. So Slayers here, we're just going to engage them on these Chaos Marauders. I mean, obviously it sucks, but they do have really high weapon damage, so they should be able to hold them pretty well. Over here, we've got to make sure to keep using all those buffs, and we might have a flash bomb relatively soon. The Chaos Knights are taking some substantial fire. The Slayers are here, they're protecting them. You know, my opponent's kind of, you know, chasing the other things off, and thankfully we were able to deal with those. Hell Cannon got shut down relatively quickly, but Grombrindle is kind of surrounded here. So once I start to see some troops wavering and, you know, seeing that meter going off, that's when you're going to want to switch. I'm going to pull him back here. These Slayers did a pretty good job cracking that group, so we're going to pull them back. It's very important I keep these cannons alive in this battle. So these cannons just going to continue shooting, probably at these, yeah, the Lances got punished pretty hard by that cannon fire. And I still have that Ironbreaker group. Sometimes you'll just think you're losing, and then the Ironbreakers just come out just freaking all savage and just holding the line. So we're actually going to regroup our forces, just pull back a little bit, and just use our cannon superiority, because he doesn't have any range. Also, the Master Engineer is quite good at dealing with Scorbeast Chariots and things like that with his focus fire. So cannons are shooting. Unfortunately, if he does ride that chariot into my forces, I am going to take some of my friendly fire from the cannons. My apologies for the lag. It looks like my opponent's connection is struggling just a little bit. So, you know, I'm going to get run over here. Not much I can do, guys, but, you know, we're getting there. The Master Engineer's taking some shots. I could use entrenchment, but I'm just going to wait for him to come through, and then we'll engage the Slayers here. And he does have a lot of troops coming back over here, so we're going to pull the Ironbreakers right here and just have them kind of hold the line as best they can. We're going to turn back their missile fire here and have them, yeah, those are, oh man, those aspiring champs are healthy. So yeah, we definitely don't want to chase all those. So we're just going to leave the Master Engineer. We'll park the Slayers here. We'll get Grombrindle and company over here as well. And we're going to throw some Satchel Charges. It's going to be nice and stylish here. We do have a Rune of Wrath and Rune. We got to make sure to use that every chance we get. And that's the one thing about Marauder armies. You'll have thought, you'll be thinking that you're winning, and then all of a sudden they just come out of the dumpsters and are coming after you again. So we'll keep that Master Engineer with his really high weapon strength shooting. We'll just park the Slayers right behind there, get these troops engaged across the board, which should be pretty good. Make sure to constantly be using those runes. And I might actually get a second Flash Bomb this game, which is pretty nice. So unfortunately, those Chaos Knights are back, but I do have my Slayers right here. So Slayers, they're going to take this charge like true champions, but he might actually just go into the back line, which is fine. And it looks like he is. The Chariots did break, which is quite nice. Cannons have pretty good ammo, so let's go ahead and switch them onto the Knights with Lances. I feel like that'll be pretty good for me, and we'll use the Ballistic Calibration here, which is going to be pretty good, guys. Pretty good. A lot of the Chaos Forces are breaking at this point. I think his Lord took an early dive pretty early in the game, so that probably was a pretty substantial contributing factor to the troubles my opponent had. But hope you guys enjoyed that DAWI Battlecast. It was a lot of fun for me. I always like Dwarves versus anything is fun, but these are my two favorite factions in the game, Dwarves and Chaos, so anytime I can get them all in the same place, it's pretty cool. I've actually been doing this quite a bit lately against the Dwarves. It's just something I wanted to point out to you guys is with Chaos, often I don't bring a Wizard against the Dwarves. I mean, the Flaming Sword of Rune kind of sucks because I didn't know this for the longest time. I do obviously have known for some time, but initially it does imbue magic damage, so then the Dwarves have that inherent passive where they get the big magic resistance. So I mean, you are getting a little bit of damage, but a lot of it is negated, which kind of sucks. So sometimes it's better to just pinch pennies and go for all these kind of troops and just go deep in that manner. But his Hell Cannon definitely underperformed that game. That was a big contributing factor. That's a massive investment to only get 10 kills. But if I hadn't brought cannons and had been more of a Dwarf Death Star type build where I just push forward, that could have paid off and been a very different game. As far as my troops, I love the Ironbreakers. In a lot of games, I've actually been bringing two. And, and then just instead of bringing the Longbeards, I would have brought like 2 groups of miners or something to compensate for that cost. But very, very fun stuff. You guys saw the Master Engineer with the Ballistics Calibration. Definitely outclassed that Hell Cannon. And that was a big misplay, too. I should have noticed earlier that I destroyed it. And it was just kind of just shooting at Chaos Dwarves over there. But, you live and you learn, guys. So really well played to my opponent, Seldcom. I look forward to seeing you again on Ladder. And I hope you guys enjoyed that cast. Have an excellent night and take care.